Hey guys, how you doing? This lecture is going to be about the rectangular marquee tool, and you'll notice that it's up at your top left hand corner. It's the second one down in this toolbar. I've already got it selected. I'll just show you what else is in the menu here, and we'll go over the rest of these marquee tools later on. So we'll do a different lesson for each one of those, okay? So once I have my marquee tool selected, you'll notice I have this crosshair. And up top here you'll see a couple different options for selecting things. We're going to start with this new selection option up here selected. And you can see there's three other options that we're about to get into. So when we have this new selection option selected up there, this is what will happen. We can click on our image and we can drag, and we'll see that we can make any size rectangle that we want. Pretty cool, right? That allows you to select an area, and you can go and you can cut, you could copy. So let me show you how that works. Let's do a copy, file new, go OK, and we'll command V or edit paste, and you'll see that it pasted my selection. Okay, we're just gonna go ahead and close that out for now and not save it. So what's important to understand about this is that you can only select one section at a time. You see when I start to click again, the old box disappears. Let's say we wanted to select more than one box at a time. We would come up to this add selection box, click that, and watch this. I can make a second box appear. I can even do 3 or maybe 4. You can do as many as you want. So now we're going to go ahead and say edit copy, file new, hit OK, and just paste this in there. See, it selected all 4 boxes and was able to copy everything. So we're just going to go ahead and delete that as well. Okay, so here's the next coolest option here. This will let you subtract from your selection, this option right here. So now I have my 4 boxes, right? Well, what if I don't want all of the areas that I've selected in there? Watch this. I can select inside my box, select inside my box. I'm going to even, can you see it? I'm crossing over. See how it cut out that area right there? Watch, I'll do it again up here. I'm going to subtract from my selection. See that? It's pretty cool, right? I'm going to do it once more right here. Subtract. Now watch, I'm going to go ahead and go edit copy, file new, and show you what this pastes. See, I went ahead and subtracted from my original selections. Pretty cool, right? So we're not going to save that. Let's go ahead and get rid of all these selection boxes, and I'm going to show you the last option. So I'm going to make a new box with my new selection tool, and here is the intersecting selection tool. So I'm going to do this, and watch what it does. It's kind of the reverse of what the subtract does. See how it did that? It only selects what both boxes are covering. So let's say I wanted just this little area right here. I'm going to go ahead and now you can see that I have much more selected right now than should be, but as soon as I let go of this mouse click, it's going to only select this little box area right here. Boom. And then the same thing, edit copy, file new, just to show you what it does. And see, it only selected that little part of his forehead that I wanted. So I'm going to close this. Okay, so let's go back, kind of restart with this new selection and get rid of that. Now I'm going to show you what some of these other things do. So let's say I selected his face, kind of neck, and some of his shirt here. This feathering tool is going to take these hard edges and it's going to change them so that they're feathered. So they're going to be smooth and it's kind of a slow gradient. Let's say I wanted a 40 pixel feathering. So reselect here. And you see how it's got the curved edges on there? That lets me know that it's feathered my selection. You'll see what I'm talking about. Edit, copy, file new. Now let's show you what it does. You see how it's it's done this. It hasn't given me a hard selected area, but rather it's feathered the edges of my selection. It's kind of a quick and easy way to take care of some cool graphic design stuff without having to go in there with an eraser tool or a blur tool. It gives you a nice even feather all the way around. So I'm going to turn this back down to 0, and this anti-alias is going to be cut out because it's not really going to be used in this Marquee selection tool. So we're going to skip over here to this style. So right now the style's set on normal, but let's say that we wanted to do a fixed ratio. This is kind of cool. Right now it's a fixed ratio of 1 to 1. You see the width and the height is set to 1 to 1. So watch this. It doesn't matter what I do once I click, I'm always going to have a perfect square because my ratio is 1 to 1. Let's say I set this to 5 to 1. Watch what it does. I'm not touching anything else but my mouse and clicking down. It's going to do a 5 times the 1 height. So 5 of the width times the 1 for the height. And it's going to keep that perfect ratio all the time. Pretty cool stuff when you're trying to delete things, especially when you're trying to do a perfectly centered graphic design photo shoot and you're editing inside of Photoshop. Let me show you something here. I'm going to set this back to 1 to 1 now that you've seen the fixed ratio, and let's do the fixed size. Okay, so now you can see that it's a definite pixel area, and all you have to do, you don't even have to drag, you just click and there it is, 64 pixels by 64 pixels, that little square right there. Well, let's say that it was 1,000 pixels by 1,000 pixels. All you have to do is just pick where you want it. Boom. Notice something here. It did 1,000 pixels by 1,000 pixels, but the top left-hand corner, that's where it started the square, exactly where I clicked. So if I clicked on, let's say, the tip of his ear, that's where the top left-hand corner of my square is going to show up for the selection. See that? It's pretty important. It'll help you kind of judge where you're selecting, especially if you're in this fixed size selection area. Now this is pretty cool. We're going to go into Refine Edge. I'm going to leave this box here and then click this Refine Edge button up here. Now look at this. It gives me a whole ton of new options. Most people that use Photoshop probably never even go into this menu, but if you're interested, this is really, really cool stuff. You can pick your view. Right now this isn't going to change your photo. This is just showing what you've selected in kind of a more visually appealing way. Marching ants, let's just show everything, and you see how this is moving around the box? This is known as the marching ants. Kind of lets you know that this area has been selected. They're moving, they look like little ants, hence marching ants. We can choose our overlay view, kind of lets you see the image, but more distinctly your selected area. You can do it over black, you can do it over white. You could just do black on white if you're not interested in the content, but more the spacing and the negative space of what you've selected. You can look at it like it's on a actual invisible layer on the back, or you can actually show everything and just do the reveal layer. So I'm going to go ahead and just go back to on white. I seem to like that one the most. And then you can choose things like smart radius. Most people won't ever use this. Personally, it's really not that important. This adjust edge. This is where it becomes really important. The smoother your edge, you can't see it now, but as we zoom in, if I can go ahead and grab my move tool. Sorry, not my move tool. I'll zoom back out here. That's not what I was trying to do. You can see this corner of his ear has been smoothed out, and the corner of this corner, and this corner, and this corner has all been smoothed out. So if we drag this back down, boom, it popped my hard corners back in. Feathering is just what we did before. If I crank this up, you'll notice that my selection, you see this? You see how it's kind of faded a lot more into it? It's saying, okay, the selection boundaries are not as important, but my feathering is. So we can go hard or soft. Contrast is going to kind of tighten that rain back in. So these two, feather and contrast, kind of work in opposition to each other. It's important to remember. So I'm going to turn these all back down. And you'll see that the shift edge, for most people, is not that important. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And there you go. That is the rectangular marquee tool.